I grew up believing I owed my aunt everything. After my mother died in a car accident when I was 10, and my father passed away the year before, my Aunt Linda became my guardian. She liked to remind everyone of that fact, sometimes gently, but more often with a tone that stung like a slap across the face. Raising a child alone isn't easy, she'd tell neighbors. Or, we did what we could. He was a responsibility, a burden, a charity case. Those were the labels she wrapped around me like chains. I cooked, I cleaned, I stayed out of the way. I never complained. I wanted her to feel proud of me, or at least not resentful, but nothing I did ever shifted her attitude. She carried bitterness the way some people carried perfume everywhere she went. You could smell it. Still, I stayed quiet, because where else could I go? Years passed. Linda's words carved themselves into my identity, but everything changed the night I turned 21. Linda had invited all our relatives over. The house was loud laughter, clinking glasses, music playing faintly in the background. It was supposed to be a warm, festive evening. Instead, it became the night my world split open. It happened when my cousin joked about how much I ate. Linda laughed loudly and said, "Well, considering we fed him his whole life, it's no surprise." People chuckled politely. Then she added the words that shattered everything inside me. He was never really part of the family. We just did what we had to do. The room fell quiet. My heart dropped. I felt exposed, like she had ripped open a wound in front of everyone. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I simply excused myself and went outside, pretending to take a call. But the truth was, I was trying not to break down. Standing in the cold night air, I felt like a ghost hovering outside my own life. That's when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Caroline, my mother's closest friend. "Come see me tomorrow. There's something you deserve to know." My hands trembled. I had no idea that message would change my entire life. Caroline lived just a few houses away. When I arrived the next morning, she looked at me like she'd been carrying a secret for decades. Without a word, she handed me a thick brown envelope, paged, wrinkled, and sealed. "This is from your mother," she whispered. "She told me to give it to you when you were old enough to understand." My throat tightened. Inside the envelope were old family photos, a USB drive, bank statements, a birth certificate, and a handwritten letter from my mother. My mother's handwriting. I hadn't seen it in years. My vision blurred instantly. Her letter began simply, "If you're reading this, my sweet boy, it means you're grown now. And it also means Linda has told you things she shouldn't already." My heart twisted. Then the letter took a turn that made my stomach drop. "Your aunt doesn't want you to know this, but she owes us more than she will ever admit. For years, your father and I supported her financially. We gave her what little we had, not because we were rich, but because we loved her." My hands shook as I kept reading. "Linda has a gambling problem. She always has, and the debt she created nearly destroyed our lives. We helped her because she was family. We believed she would change. We believed she would take care of you if something ever happened to us." I could barely breathe. I plugged the USB drive into Caroline's computer. There were 3 files. The audio crackled before settling. My mother's voice filled the room. I felt like I'd been punched. "Linda, you have to stop. You owe us $47,000. This cannot continue." Linda's panicked voice responded, "I'm trying. I swear I'll pay it back. Just don't tell anyone, please. Just help me this one last time." $47,000. My parents were drowning financially because of her, and she dared to call me a burden? The next video hit even harder. It showed my parents speaking to Linda in the kitchen. My father looked tired. Dad said, "Linda, if anything happens to us, you must take care of our son. Not out of obligation, but because this family has always taken care of you." Linda nodded through tears. "I promise. I owe you both more than I can ever repay." The video ended. I pressed my palms to my face, shaking. My entire childhood had been built on a lie. The last file made my chest tighten even more. My mother's letter concluded, "If Linda ever calls you a burden, remember, she owes you her entire life." I closed the envelope with trembling hands. That's when the decision formed. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to show the truth. A week later, the entire family gathered again, this time at my aunt's house for the annual holiday brunch. People chatted, laughed, ate pastries. Linda acted as if nothing had happened, but I wasn't the same anymore. When everyone settled in the living room, I stood up quietly and said, "I want to play a video my mom left for me." Linda froze. Her smile vanished instantly. "Now isn't the time," she said sharply. I ignored her and connected the USB to the TV. The room fell silent. The audio began. "Linda, you owe us $47,000. Gasps spread across the room. Linda jumped up. "Turn it off. Right now." I stepped between her and the TV. "No," I said calmly. "It's time they knew. The next video, my parents asking her to take care of me because she was family played in full view of everyone. My cousin stared in disbelief. My uncle muttered, "Oh my God." My aunt's face drained of color. Then I read my mother's letter aloud, especially the last line. "If she ever calls you a burden." I looked straight at Linda. "Remember, she owes you her entire life." No one spoke for nearly a minute. Finally, my cousin whispered, "You use him. You abused their kindness. And then you called him a burden?" Linda burst into tears and ran out of the room, but no one followed her. The family met the next day. Linda was confronted about the debt, the lies, the years of emotional abuse, and the manipulation. Everyone agreed she would repay the money to a memorial fund under my parents' name, would no longer control any family assets, and would apologize publicly. She refused at first, but the family stood firm. For once, the truth was louder than her voice. That night, I returned home and opened my mother's letter again. I read the last paragraph over and over. "You were never a burden. You were the greatest gift of my life. One day, you will understand your worth. One day, the truth will set you free."